Shalom, shalom. Welcome, welcome, world changers. Tonight we're going to get into a very interesting, actually, probably one of my favorite portions of Daniel, if I can say so. Speaking about the end times, speaking about the future resurrection, the resurrection of the dead, and much more. It's going to be an awesome, awesome read tonight. I'm going to read Daniel chapter 10, 11, and 12, and then I'm going to get into some of the Greek portions of Daniel, or otherwise known as the Greek additions to Daniel. And these Greek additions to Daniel are also in the Septuagint as well. There are a fair number of chapters to go through in regards to the Greek additions to Daniel. So there's lots to go through and some very interesting material, including, let me just see here, we have the Susanna and the Song of the Hebrew Children and Bel and the Dragon. We've got some interesting things. Now, I don't think we're going to get to all that tonight, but very, very interesting things. We will get to that as time permits. Okay, so see what we have here in the live chat. Billy says shalom. Shalom, Billy. Good to see you. Welcome. Welcome. Calamento says shalom, everyone. Shalom, Calamentos. Good to see you. Psalm 94 says shalom, one and all. Shalom, Psalm 94. Good to see you. Welcome. Caballero says shalom. Shalom, Caballero. Shalom. Shalom, brother. Good to see you. So, as always, my prayer is that our reading tonight will be a great blessing to each and every one of us, each and every one of you, myself included. We're all in this together, and we're all learning together. So this is just amazing. Again, as I go, I'm going to be checking the live chat intermittently, but for the most part, I'll leave it till the end. And if you have any questions specifically for me, just put at Christopher Enoch in the live chat, and I will get to it as soon as we do. Okay. All right. Just making sure everything is good over there on Podbean before we go. Okay. So let's begin with Daniel chapter 10. Daniel chapter 10, verse 1. In the third year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a message was revealed to Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar. And the message was true, even a great warfare. He understood the message and had understanding of the vision. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 whole weeks. I ate no pleasant food, nor no meat or wine came into my mouth. I didn't anoint myself at all until 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. Now, let me just stop here for a second. I feel like I should just say a word about visions. We're reading so many things about visions in recent live streams, and since we're going through the prophets now, we're reading so many things about visions. So I think it's important to understand that a vision is never to be taken literally. A vision is like a dream. It's like a dream. Well, basically, a vision is a dream of, it's like a daydream, is what it is, really. A vision is like a daydream. It's a dream, it's a vision in the day, where you see something that's not real per se, as a dream is. And visions always represent something. Like they always represent something. They always mean something. Verse 2. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 whole weeks. Okay, so we read that. Verse 4. In the 24th day of the first month, I was by the side of the great river, which is Hiddekel. in the footnotes, or river. I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, there was a man clothed in linen. Now, again, this is talking about an angel, right? We always see this throughout the scriptures, especially in the prophets. Whenever it mentions, whenever it talks about a man in this kind of context, it's talking about an angel. Remember the three men that appeared to Abraham were three angels. The man that we read about earlier that came to Daniel, earlier in the book of Daniel, it was the angel Gabriel. It actually named the name was actually Gabriel, but it said a man. So there was a man clothed in linen. Remember, this is a vision, not literal, but it's a vision. So this man clothed in linen was an angel in a vision, whose waist was adorned with pure gold of Uphaz. His body also was like beryl. Let's see what beryl. Let's see, get a good idea. His body was like beryl. Okay. So very unique, I guess, like a bluish, greenish, turquoise kind of color. And his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as flaming torches. Now, doesn't this sound very much like, at least the eyes specifically, sound a lot like the vision that John had in the book of Revelation, chapter 1, when John was when Yeshua appeared to John. Remember the eyes as of fire? His arms and his feet were like burnished bronze. Again, sounds so much like Revelation. And by the way, I remember way back in the day in my mid-teen years, before I really, knew the Lord per se, before I started walking with God, and I had that experience that I often talk about in 1992. One book I would read a lot of, and that is the book of Revelation. I just found it so intriguing and so interesting, and talking about the last days and all that kind of thing. And I remember after I really got quote unquote saved in 1992, and I really started getting into the scriptures, that's when I started realizing that much of the book of Revelation, not 100%, but a lot of it is actually found in the quote unquote Old Testament. It's like a lot of it's just a repeat, or like this kind of thing rebranded in the book of Revelation. So much. His arms and his feet were like burnished bronze. His voice, the voice of his words, was like the voice of a multitude. Again, very much like Revelation. The voice as of many waters standing for people in the book of Revelation. It says that very clearly. Verse 7, I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men who were with me didn't see the vision, but a great quaking fell on them, and they fled to hide themselves. Very interesting. Reminds me of the account of the road to Damascus, Paul's quote-unquote conversion account in the book of Acts, where it says, at least in one place, because, we have contradictory accounts in the book of Acts, but at least in one place it says that, that Paul heard and saw, but the people did not. So, and again, this is a vision, just like Paul's the experience on the road to Damascus, as per book of Acts. It's a vision. It's not literal. A great quaking fell on them, and they fled to hide themselves. So why would a great quaking, in other words, why would all of a sudden they be struck with fear, like a supernatural fear? Why would that happen? Because whenever you receive a vision of God, it's because the Spirit of God, or an angel of God, is present and shows you something. It's like it's very much like uh, watching a video, on a big screen kind of thing. That's what a vision is like. And so the vision can be shown only to one person, but the presence of God, or the presence of the angels who actually were um, responsible for showing the vision, that presence is what causes other people to feel the presence of God, or feel the presence of angels, or feel the presence of something great in a spiritually great um, sensation that would cause them to be cause them to be afraid. So I was left alone and saw this great vision. No strength remained in me, for my face grew deathly pale, and I retained no strength. Yet I heard the voice of his words. When I heard the voice of his words, then I fell into a deep sleep on my face, with my face toward the ground. So he fell forward. Behold, a hand touched me, which set me on my knees and on the palms of my hands. He said to me, Daniel, you greatly beloved man, understand the words that I speak to you, and stand upright. For I have been sent to you now. When he had spoken this word to me, I stood trembling. Now, it sounds as if he was supernaturally just taken off of his face and put in a standing position, which could have happened, or he could have gotten up himself and stood trembling. Verse 12. Then he said to me, don't be afraid, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard. I have come for your word's sake. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia, what's this talking about? This is talking about a spiritual entity over that part of the world. Okay? Remember, in the letters of Paul, we read about the prince of the power of the air, which is commonly understood to mean the devil. Okay? But this here we have the prince of the kingdom of Persia, which could have been the devil, or one of his angels, evil spirits, the prince of the kingdom of Persia, withstood me 21 days. But behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, because I remained there with the kings. Now we got plural, kings of Persia. Now I have come to make you understand what will happen to your people in the latter days, for the vision is yet for many days. Okay, so let's just talk about this for a second. We have Daniel, who fasted and prayed for 3 whole weeks. Can you imagine fasting and praying for 3 whole weeks? He didn't get an answer for 3 whole weeks. How many would have given up by then? How many people would have given up by then? And when he did get an answer, the angel came to him and told him that from the very first day that Daniel fasted and prayed, his words were heard, but he didn't get the answer right away. He waited. He was striving in prayer, warring in prayer for 3 whole weeks without an answer. Not just prayer, but prayer and fasting. But from the first day, the angel confirms his words were heard. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia, this would be, again, commonly understood as an evil spirit or the evil spirit, one or the other. Speaking of the devil or one of his devils, was what held him up, basically held up the answer, held up the angel. So the angel had to fight the the powers of evil in between, basically heaven and earth. He was sent from heaven to Daniel from the very first day, but 21 days he was held up in the spiritual realm by an adversary. It says, "But behold, Michael, one of the chief priests, came to help me because I remained there with the kings of Persia." So he needed help. He called for backup. "Now I have come to make you understand what will happen to your people in the latter days, for the vision is yet for many days." When he had spoken these words to me, I set my face toward the ground and was mute. Again, this sounds very similar to Revelation chapter 1 when the Lord appeared to John. Verse 16, "Behold, one in the likeness of the sons of men touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spoke and said to him who stood before me, My Lord, by reason of the vision my sorrows have overtaken me, and I retain no strength. For how can the servant of this my Lord talk with this my Lord? For as for me, immediately there remained no strength in me, there was no breath left in me. Then one like the appearance of a man touched me again and strengthened me. He said, Greatly beloved man, don't be afraid. Peace be to you. Be strong. Yes, be strong. When he spoke to me, I was strengthened and said, Let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. Then he said, Do you know why I have come to you? Now I will return to fight, with the prince of Persia. So back to the battle. When I go out, behold, the prince of Greece will come. But I will tell you that which is inscribed in the writing of truth. There is no one who holds with me against these but Michael, your prince. So what does this tell us? This tells us that there are different quote unquote angels, be it evil or good, over certain parts of the earth. And that the effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much, as it says. And even if you fast and pray for 3 weeks and you don't get an answer, it doesn't mean that your prayer was not heard. It just means that perhaps your prayers, the answer to your prayers, might have been withheld by spiritual warfare, where an angel could be fighting for you behind the scenes, so to speak, and you don't even know it. An angel can be fighting the forces of evil for you on your behalf, and you don't even know it. Amazing. Let me see what we have here in the chat. Yowen says, Shalom, my familia. Shalom, shalom. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Yes, so let's do this. Daniel chapter 11. As for me, in the first year of Darius the Mede, I stood up to confirm and strengthen him. Now I will show you the truth. Behold, 3 more kings will stand up in Persia. The fourth will be far richer than all of them. When he has grown strong through his riches, he will stir up all against the realm of Greece. A mighty king will stand up who will rule with great dominion and do according to his will. When he stands up, his kingdom will be broken and will be divided toward the four winds of the sky, but not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion with which he ruled, for his kingdom will be plucked up, even for others besides these. The king of the south will be strong. One of his princes will become stronger than him and have dominion. His dominion will be a great dominion. At the end of years, they will join themselves together, and the daughter of the king of the south will come to the king of the north to make an agreement, but she will not retain the strength of her arm. He will also not stand, nor will his arm, but she will be given up. Now, when it talks about his arm here, it's talking about his power or his authority. But she will be given up with those who brought her, and he who became the father of her, and he who strengthened her in those times. But out of a shoot from her roots, one will stand up in his place, who will come to the army and will enter into the fortress of the king of the north, and will deal against them and will prevail. He will also carry their gods with their molten images and with their goodly vessels of silver and gold captive into Egypt. He will refrain some years from the king of the north. He will come into the realm of the king of the south, but he will return into his own land. His sons will wage war and will assemble a great multitude of great forces, which will come on and overflow and pass through. They will return and wage war, even to his fortress. The king of the south will be moved with anger and will come out and fight with him, even with the king of the north. He will send out a great multitude, and the multitude will be given into his hand. The multitude will be carried off, and his heart will be exalted. He will cast down tens of thousands, but he won't prevail. The king of the north will return, and he will send out a multitude greater than the former. He will come on at the end of times, even of years, with a great army and with an abundance of with abundant supplies. In those times, many will stand up against the king of the south. Also, the children of the violent among your people will lift themselves up to establish the vision, but they will fall. So the king of the north will come and cast up a mound and take a well fortified city. The forces of the south won't stand, neither will his select troops, neither will there be any strength to stand. But he who comes against him will do according to his own will, and no one will stand before him. He will stand in the glorious land. Destruction will be in his hand. He will set his face to come with the strength of his whole kingdom, and with him equitable conditions. He will perform them. He will give him the daughter of women to destroy the kingdom, but she will not stand, nor be for him. After this, he will turn his face to the islands and will take many, but a prince will cause the reproach offered by him to cease. Yes, moreover, he will cause his reproach to turn on him. Then he will turn his face toward the fortresses of his own land, but he will stumble and fall and won't be found. Then one who will cause a tax collector to pass through the kingdom to maintain its glory will stand up in his place, but within a few days he shall be destroyed, not in anger and not in battle. In his place, a contemptible person will stand up, to whom they had not given the honor of the kingdom. But he will come in time of security and will obtain the by flatteries. The overwhelming forces will be overwhelmed from before him and will be broken. Yes, also the prince of the covenant. After the treaty made with him, he will work deceitfully, for he will come up and will become strong with few people. In time of security, he will come even on the fattest of the province. He will do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He will scatter among them prey, plunder, and wealth. Yes, he will devise his plans against the strongholds, but only for a time. He will stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army. And the king of the south will wage war in battle with an exceedingly great and mighty army, but he won't stand, for they will devise plans against him. Yes, those who eat of his delicacies will destroy him, and his army will be swept away. Many will fall down slain. As for both these kings, their hearts will be to do evil, and they will speak lies at one table, but it won't prosper, for the end will still be at the appointed time. Then he will return into his land with great wealth. His heart will be against the holy covenant. He will take action and return to his own land. He will return at the appointed time and come into the south, but it won't be in the latter time as it was in the former. For ships of Kittim will come against him. Therefore, he will be grieved and will return and have indignation against the holy covenant and will take action, he will even return and have regard to those who forsake the holy covenant. Forces from him will profane the sanctuary, even the fortress, and will take away the continual burnt offering. Then they will set up the abomination that makes desolate. He will corrupt those who do wickedly against the covenant by flatteries. But the people who know their God will be strong and take action. Those who are wise among the people will instruct many, yet they will fall by the sword and by flame, by captivity and by plunder many days. Now when they fall, they will be helped with a little help, but many will join themselves to them with flatteries. Some of those who are wise will fall to refine them and to purify and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for the time appointed. The king will do according to his will. He will exalt himself and magnify himself above every god and will speak marvelous things against gods. He will prosper until the indignation is accomplished, for that which is determined will be done. He won't regard the gods of his fathers or the desire of women or regard any god, for he will magnify himself above all. Very interesting. This is commonly interpreted to be the Antichrist, and so he won't regard the God of his fathers. I understand this to mean that it will be from the line of Israel. Somebody will be it will be somebody from the line of Israel. So he won't regard the God of his fathers or the desire of women or regard any god, for he will magnify himself above all. But in their place he will honor the God of fortresses. He will honor a God whom his fathers didn't know with gold, silver, and with precious stones and pleasant things. He will deal with the strongest fortresses by the help of a foreign God. He will increase the glory whoever acknowledges, he will increase with glory whoever acknowledges him. He will cause them to rule over many and will divide the land for a price. At the time of the end, the king of the south will contend with him, and the king of the north will come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, with horsemen, with many ships. He will enter into the countries and will overflow and pass through. He will enter also into the glorious land, and many countries will be overthrown, but these will be delivered out of his hand: Edom, Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon. He also stretched out, he will also stretch out his hand on the countries. The land of Egypt won't escape, but he will have power over the treasures of gold and of silver and over all the precious things of Egypt. The Libyans and the Ethiopians will follow his steps. Let me just say this quickly, and I said this before the other night, and I believe that the Ethiopians have the best evidence in regards to having the Ark of the Covenant. And if the Ethiopians follow the steps of the Antichrist, then they would surrender the Ark. They could surrender the Ark in that way to the to go to the third temple. But news out of the east and out of the north will trouble him, and he will go out with great fury to destroy and utterly to sweep away many. He will plant the tents of his palace between the sea and the glorious mountain, holy mountain. Yet he will come to his end, and no one will help him. Daniel chapter 12. At that time, Michael will stand up. Again, this is the Michael, the archangel, the great prince. Right? So we read about other princes, which resemble angels, be it good or bad angels. But this is the great prince, meaning the archangel, who stands for the children of your people. And there will be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. At that time, your people will be delivered, everyone who is found written in the book. This will be written in the book of life. Many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth will awake. This is talking about the resurrection. Some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. Those who are wise will shine as the brightness of the expanse. So basically, the brightness of the expanse here is talking about the sun. Those who are wise will shine as bright as the sun, basically. Those who turn many to righteousness will shine as the stars forever and ever. See, these are the real stars. The real stars. Who are the stars? Those who turn many to righteousness. They are the stars. They will shine as stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book even to the time of the end. Many will run back and forth, and knowledge will be increased. The information age. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, two others stood, one on the river bank on this side, and the other on the river bank on that side. One said to the man clothed in linen, okay, so this is, again, speaking to the angel, who was above the waters of the river, how long will it be to the end of these wonders? I heard the man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand to heaven, and swore by him who lives forever, that it will be for a time, times and a half. And when they had finished breaking in pieces the power of the holy people, all these things will be finished. I heard but I didn't understand. Then I said, my Lord, what will be these? He said, go your way, Daniel, for the words are shut up and sealed unto the time of the end. Many will purify themselves and will make themselves white and be refined, but the wicked will do wickedly. And none of the wicked will understand, but those who are wise will understand. From the time that the continual burnt offering is taken away, and the abomination that makes desolate set up, there will be 1,290 days. Blessed is he who waits and comes to the 1,335 days. But go your way until the end, for you will rest and will stand in your inheritance at the end of days. That concludes our reading for Daniel. I am going to be reading some of the Greek, this would be the quote unquote Apocrypha of Daniel. In just a moment, I'll check the live chat first here in a minute. Just give me a second. Okay. Paul says, do you believe in the modern day speaking of tongues and supernatural miracles and healings like healing deaf and blind of people? Yes, I do, but I do not believe it happens as often as some of the Pentecostals and charismatics would like to believe. I believe it does happen, but I think it's not as prevalent as some believe. Thank you for the question, Paul. I appreciate it. Tammy says, shalom all. Shalom, Tammy. Good to see you. Welcome. Tammy says, hit the like button. Thank you very much. Yes, every one of you who, if you like what we're doing here, please hit that like button. Mark says, shalom. Shalom, Mark. Good to see you. Anbu says, who wrote the Torah and how do we know the Torah hasn't been twisted over time? Assuming that you mean the books of Moses, and I have to say that because some people they understand the whole entire Tanakh to be the Torah. But assuming that you're talking about the books of Moses alone, it is traditionally believed that it was written by Moses and Joshua. And so, how do we know it hasn't been twisted over time? Well, I do believe that there has been a number of corruptions that have that just like any other part of the Bible, I do believe that there are a number of corruptions that have crept in over time, be it scribal errors or intentional errors, or intentional errors if there's such a thing. But I mean, if you compare the Samaritan Torah with the Septuagint, with the Masoretic text, you'll see what I mean, and with the Dead Sea Scrolls as well. So, understanding. I mean, it's a big topic. I mean, the Samaritan and the Septuagint are the oldest of the three. Well, perhaps the Dead Sea Scrolls would be in there as well, but I mean, the Masoretic is the youngest, if that means anything. But there are many discrepancies there. However, most of the discrepancies don't really mean anything. I mean, it's just sometimes a little bit like the numbers are off, or the ages, the years are off, but it doesn't really mean much in regards to the real gist of what's being said. Scribes did make errors, and things were changed. I mean, the Samaritan Torah is different. There are a couple very blatant contradictions in the Samaritan Torah. One of them is like where do you worship God? And that's the reason why the woman at the well, the Samaritan, asked Jesus, where do you worship God? Because she wanted to know, which quote unquote Bible or which manuscript was true. And part of me wants Jesus to actually answer that, but he didn't, which goes to show you that those major contradictions are still not a big deal with the Lord. Otherwise, he would have straightened it out right there. Okay, guys, you are the right ones. You are the wrong ones. Boom. I set it in place. I want to clear this up. No, he just totally just diverted right off the topic. He didn't even want to go there. He's like, those who worship in spirit and truth. That's what really counts. But to understand the culture of it, the cultural context, that really means a lot, because that tells us that the Samaritan Torah has a completely different place of worship as opposed to the Masoretic text. So here's the thing. When it comes to manuscript variations and quote unquote twisting or contradictions, these kind of things, I liken it to the story of the Titanic or any major story in history. With eyewitnesses, you have contradictory accounts. People that were there, survivors of the Titanic, and they fought amongst themselves as to what actually happened. Well, it broke in half. No, it didn't break in half. I was there. I saw it. Well, this was the last song that was sung. No, that wasn't the last song that was sung. I was there too. It was the other song. Well, Captain Smith jumped off the jumped off the side of the ship, and before it went down. No, I was there too. He went down in the bridge. He was still in the bridge when it went down. I mean, there are many contradictory accounts when it comes to the Titanic. Even how many actually died. I mean, for years, they didn't even know how many actually died. But one thing they knew for sure, the Titanic was real and it sunk. And a lot of people died. Right? So the gist of it, the main points, the important points are known. And it just makes it more real when you have contradictions amongst eyewitnesses. And same thing it goes with manuscripts. It just makes it all the more believable. It makes it all the more believable. It makes it all the more real. And it makes it all the more fun too, because then you can study the manuscripts and you can trace back a lot of these different variations and errors and find out what actually happened. Like, oh yeah, I see what happened. The scribe actually skipped. He must have, maybe he was tired or whatever, and he missed a line. So this whole entire portion is not there. Like for example, if you go to, I'll show you here. I had this up from the other night. This is the Septuagint. Go to Proverbs. You see a lot of this in Proverbs. I'll just pick any chapter. I don't know. Just pick any chapter. But this is the Septuagint, and you'll see, okay, so that chapter is not that much, not that bad. But some of the like there, omitted text. That whole verse is omitted in the Septuagint. How did that happen? Right. And same with many other parts of, especially, you see, we got all these extra additions that's in there that's not in the Masoretic. It makes it fun. And I think that God delights in it because God wants us to be smart. Okay, He wants us to be smart. He doesn't want us to be over simple. He wants us to study. He delights to work through people he delights to work through some good intellectual gold. Okay. And like you got this here omitted, and there are parts here I can't even at this point in time I can't remember exactly what chapters it is, but there are parts of the book of Proverbs, for example, that a good chunk of the whole chapter is gone in the Septuagint. And other parts where you got lots of it, we got a lot that's in the Septuagint that's gone from that's omitted from the Masoretic. So it's you got to do some forensics. But at the end of the day, you look at it and you say, okay, we see what happened here. We see when it happened. And you got a good idea of what the original actually said by tracing back all of these manuscripts and getting into all that and studying. It's really, really good. Thank you for the question there, Anbu. Very good question. Oh, excuse me. Paul says, is it okay to read Gnostic text, or is it completely false? Just reading it for a class in my university. So, like, it depends what text you're talking about. I mean, there's, like, for example, the Gospel of Thomas is commonly called a Gnostic gospel. I personally don't see it to be that Gnostic. It's perhaps some, but not that not. Honestly, I think that the letters of Paul and the Gospel of John is more Gnostic than the Gospel of Thomas. Having said that, for the most part, many of these extra biblical books, it's very beneficial to study it. There's very few, I would say, that it's completely false. There's a lot that would be, partly false, but still there's partly true. And some of that partly true stuff is really, really good stuff. And you don't want to miss it. So I wouldn't, generally speaking, I wouldn't, I would not condemn reading and studying the gospel, the Gnostic texts. Just, do your homework on them and be a Berean. Compare them with the Tanakh, just like how in the book of Acts, chapter 17, the men of Berea compared Paul's teachings with the Tanakh. That's what I would highly recommend. Corey says, hello, Brother Christopher. Good to see you. Good to see you as well, Corey. Yeah, I like even with some of these like early church fathers and all that kind of thing. I think it's beneficial. Even if it's just for historical reason, or just to understand what this book actually says, even if it's just that. So I definitely wouldn't say that there's a Gnostic text out there that's 100% pure. Everything it says is true. I wouldn't say that, but it's worth studying. That's for sure. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, let's get into the Apocrypha portions, the Greek portions of Daniel. So I'm reading here from ebible.org, ebible.org. And you can find a portion in there called Daniel. In brackets, we have Greek, or in parentheses, we got Greek. The book of Daniel with Greek portions. Now, there are a number of chapters here. As you see, there are 14 chapters. So this includes a lot of the different portions, such as Susanna and the Song of the Three Holy Children, and Bel and the Dragon, and then some. So we'll begin. We're not going to read all of it, but we'll read some. So this is chapter 1, verse 1. In the third year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. The Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand with part of the vessels of the house of God. And he carried them into the land of Shinar to the house of his God. He brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God. The king spoke to Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring in some of the children of Israel, even of the royal offspring of the nobles, youths in whom was no defect, but well favored and skillful in all wisdom. Okay, you know what? This here is actually a repeat. I'm maybe I should skip this part because this is actually a repeat of the whole book of Daniel. Daniel chapter 1, chapter 2. Yeah, so we read all this, so I'm not going to read this. What I'm going to read though is I'm going to read some of the sections that is not included in the original. I can't say the original, but in the common Daniel, and that is this particular portion right. Where is it now? Right here, the Song of the Three Holy Children. So this is put in context with the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fire. Okay. So in the context of just after they fell down, they fell bound into the middle of the burning furnace. This is what it says here. They walked in the midst of the fire, praising God and blessing the Lord. Then Azarias stood and prayed like this, opening his mouth in the midst of the fire. He said, "Blessed are you, O Lord, you God of our fathers. Your name is worthy to be praised and glorified forevermore. For you are righteous in all the things that you have done. Yes, all your works are true. Your ways are right, and all your judgments are truth. In all the things that you have brought upon us and upon the holy city of our fathers, Jerusalem, you have executed true judgments." Speaking of, in particular, the exile. "For according to truth and justice, you have brought all these things upon us because of our sins. For we have sinned and committed iniquity in departing from you. In all things we have trespassed and not obeyed your commandments or kept them. We haven't done as you commanded us, that it might go well with us. Therefore, all that you have brought upon us and everything that you have done to us, you have done true judgment. You delivered us into the hands of the lawless enemies, most hateful rebels, and to an unjust king who is the most wicked in all the world. And now we can't open our mouth. Shame and reproach have come on your servants and those who worship you. Don't utterly deliver us up for your name's sake. Don't annul your covenant. Don't cause your mercy to depart from us for the sake of Abraham, who is loved by you, and for the sake of Isaac, your servant, and Israel, your Holy One, to whom you promised that you would multiply their offspring as the stars of the sky and as the sand that is on the seashore. For we, O Lord, have become less than any nation and are brought low this day in all the world because of our sins. There isn't at this time prince or prophet or leader or burnt offering or sacrifice or oblation or incense or place to offer before you and to find mercy. Nevertheless, in a contrite heart and a humble spirit, let us be accepted. Let the burnt offerings of rams and bullocks, and let 10,000s of fat rams, like the burnt offerings of rams and bullocks, and like the and 10, and like 10,000s of fat lambs. So let our sacrifice be in your sight this day, that we may wholly go after you, for they shall not be ashamed who put their trust in you. And now we follow you with all our heart. We fear you and seek your face. Put us not to shame, but deal with us after your kindness and according to the multitude of your mercy. Deliver us according to your marvelous works, and give glory to your name, O Lord. Let all who harm your servants be confounded. Let them be ashamed of all their power and might, and let their strength be broken. Let them know that you are the Lord, the only God, and glorious over the whole world. The king's servants who put them in didn't stop making the furnace hot with naphtha, pitch, tinder, and small wood, so that the flame streamed out 49 cubits above the furnace. 49 cubits, by the way, that would be about, well, I mean, a cubit is a foot and a half. So that'd be near like 75 feet above the furnace. It spread and burned those Chaldeans whom it found around the furnace. But the angel of the Lord came down into the furnace together with Azarias and his fellows, and he struck the flame of the fire out of the furnace, and made the midst of the furnace as it had been a moist, whistling wind, so that the fire didn't touch them at all. It neither hurt nor troubled them. Then the three, as out of one mouth, praised, glorified, and blessed God in the furnace, saying, Blessed are you, O Lord, you God of our fathers, to be praised and exalted above all forever. Blessed is your glorious and holy name, to be praised and exalted above all forever. Blessed are you in the temple of your holy glory, to be praised and glorified above all forever. Blessed are you who see the depths and sit upon the cherubim, to be praised and exalted above all forever. Blessed are you on the throne of your kingdom, to be praised and extolled above all forever. Blessed are you in the firmament of heaven, to be praised and glorified forever. O all you works of the Lord, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O you heavens, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O you angels of the Lord, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O all you waters that are above the sky, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O all you powers of the Lord, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O you sun and moon, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O you stars of heaven, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O every shower and dew, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O all you winds, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O you fire and heat, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O you dews and storms of snow, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O you nights and days, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O you light and darkness, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O you cold and heat, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O you frost and snow, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O you lightnings and clouds, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O let the earth bless the Lord. Let it praise and exalt him above all forever. O you mountains and hills, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O all you things that grow on the earth, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O seas and rivers, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O you springs, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O you whales and all that move in the waters, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. All you birds of the air, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. All you beasts and cattle, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. You children of men, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. Let Israel bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. You priests of the Lord, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. You servant of the Lord, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. You spirits and souls of the righteous, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. You who are holy and humble of heart, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. For he has rescued us from Hades and saved us from the hand of death. He has delivered us out of the midst of the furnace and burning flame. He has delivered us out of the midst of the fire. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His mercy endures forever. All you who worship the Lord, bless the God of gods. Praise him and give him thanks, for his mercy is forever. Okay. So then we go back into the traditional text, Hebrew text of Daniel, as we read before. So I am going to stop the reading here, since we have a lot more to read, actually. We read the Song of the Three Holy Children just now. By the way, what we just read used to be in the Bible, in all Bibles, as far as I know, up until maybe the 18th century or so, and then the Protestant, well, after the Protestants decided to print Bibles without the Apocrypha in it, this wasn't included in it. But for most of the history of the Bible, that was included in the Bible, and it still is. As it says here, the Song of the Three Holy Children is an addition to Daniel found in the Greek Septuagint, but not found in the traditional Hebrew text of Daniel. This portion is recognized as deuterocanonical scripture by the Roman Catholic, Greek Orthodox, and Russian Orthodox churches. It is found inserted between Daniel 3:23 and Daniel 3:24 of the traditional Hebrew Bible. Here, the verses after 23 from the Hebrew Bible are numbered starting at 91. Okay, so so deliverance from the furnace. That's what we just stopped at that. Okay, and we have two more stories to read, which we'll read tomorrow. The history of Susanna. Very, very interesting, very memorable, awesome story. We'll read that tomorrow. Again, this is also found in the Greek Bible. And Bell and the Dragon. For those of you who don't know Bell and the Dragon, you don't know what you're missing, but you will find out tomorrow. Lord willing, we'll get into it tomorrow. Cat Cool says, Shalom, shalom, Cat Cool. Welcome, welcome. Yoan says, I found out about Tovia Singer today, and now I know who you are. I don't think you do know who I am, Yoan. At least he poses as a Jew. perhaps you're referring to the time we had him on as a guest, and I just want to say this as well. Okay, so we've had all kinds of people on here as a guest, people that are traditional Christians from the traditional mainstream. I've had that even hasn't been that long ago, actually. Um, I've had Christians on here, that traditional mainstream denominational church, and by the way, I'm gonna invite them back. Okay, um, Lord willing, I want to. That's one of the people I want to invite back anyway. And I actually been talking to these people not too long ago, so I'm going to be inviting them back. Now, these are people who are the traditional mainstream pastors of traditional mainstream mainline denominational churches. We have them on, and we have so e- everything from that to someone like Tovia Singer. Um, so Tovia Singer, I believe he is a Jew. I don't have any reason to not believe that he is. Um, and so this is the thing. A lot of people, almost every single guest I've ever had on here, people have attacked me for. Well, he's too much of a this or he's too much of a that. I get attacked for almost everybody that I've ever had on here, and I've had pretty much every a wide spectrum, everything from your real, churchy Christians to a Jew. Okay, because I believe in the truth. This is the reason why I believe in the truth. I believe in open dialogue. I believe that God will always prevail. The truth will always prevail. The truth will always win. Nobody, do you know, Yoan, of anybody who is a perfect preacher who like everything they say is absolutely perfect? Do you know? If you know, I'd like to know the name. Jordan says shalom. Shalom, Jordan. Good to see you. And Yoan says, stop posing as a believer. See, you don't know me. Okay. You don't know me. I highly recommend you humble yourself and stop being a false witness. Okay. And slandering. I get this all the time. Get this all the time. It's one of the greatest sins. Obviously, Yowen, you're not here for what are you here for? You're not here for anything. You're not here for anything but just absolute maliciousness. You're probably one of these people that was blocked before, and you just, again, a very disturbed individual. So you know what? I mean, we don't have time for this. You are you got all these accusations without any evidence. You got absolutely no evidence at all. Corey says, I had a question before you started reading again. I had to point it out in case you missed it. Okay. Okay. Let me just see what you did here. Yeah, we have no. Let me see here. Okay, just looking back here to see if I can get that comment there. Yes, Yoan, you came in here and you said shalom. You say peace, but you don't want peace, do you? All you want to do is just be a troll. All you want to do is just be a false witness slanderer with absolutely no evidence to support what you're saying because there is no evidence, because it's all lies. Okay, I think this is it. Is this it, Corey? When the Bible says that a multitude was saved from Egyptian captivity, is it talking about people of different nationalities? Or is it talking about a huge numbers of Israelites? Um, Now, I want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing. When you say that, I'm thinking about Exodus chapter 12, verse 38. Exodus chapter 12, verse 38. A mixed multitude went up with them also, and flocks and herds, a great deal of livestock. This would be, um, okay, so in context, just to see how it's worded. The verse before, then the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Sukkoth, about 600,000 foot on men besides children. A mixed multitude went up with them also. Okay, so this is not the children of Israel. These are people that are apart from the children of Israel. These are Gentiles um, that went up with them, and flocks and herds and a great deal of livestock. So basically, like in those days, there were in Egypt was like the superpower of the world, right? It's like you can liken it maybe to like America today, right? So just like in America today, you have people from all over the world in America, from all kinds of different ethnic groups and all kinds of nationalities, just like how it was in Egypt. And so when the 10 plagues hit Egypt, um, they all saw it. Everyone saw it. And so you have the children of Israel that went up with Moses, but you also had the mixed multitude, which were people who said, "Yay, hey, I'm not part of the children of Israel, but I'm with you guys." It's like you know, like Ruth, right? They said, your God is my God, your people are my people. I'm with you guys, right? So even though Ruth wasn't a Jew, so it's the same kind of thing. Yeah. So we know it's not a large number of Israelites by the way it's worded. Thank you, Corey, for the question. Very good question. Caballero says, "Thank, very interesting reading tonight. I never heard it before. Thank you. Good night. Thank you very much, Caballero. Good night and blessings multiplied to you as always." Jordan says, "Would love to see James Block as a musical guest." All right, all right. Well, you know what? I'll literally take note of that. All right. Thank you, Jordan. Paul says, in a near-death experience, the sinner meets Jesus. How is it possible if they sinned and haven't repented? Yeah. So there are many. I have studied hundreds of near-death experiences, and I have found that many of them, what happens is they say that they meet Jesus, or they say that they meet a light, okay, that they believe is Jesus, and after that, that Jesus, hands them over to angels, and angels either take them to heaven and or hell. Okay, so this seems to be a common occurrence. This is what happens. Hey, it's not me saying it. I'm just saying this is what, if you do, I mean, it's what you hear quite often in near-death experiences. It's just the way it is. That's what I've read and heard and seen videos and spoken to people personally about it. So here's the thing. Many people are resuscitated before they reach the next stage. So they go and they meet Jesus, but they're not dead long enough to know what the outcome is. Because many times Jesus said, after they meet Jesus, they go to a place of fire, right? So what I always say is this: a good rule of thumb when it comes to near-death experiences is the ones who are clinically dead for at least 10 minutes, have way more weight to their testimony than someone who's, I flatlined for 3 minutes and I went and I saw Jesus. Well, okay, that doesn't really mean anything. I mean, the Pharisees saw Jesus too. I mean, in John chapter 8, when Jesus was talking to the people whom he called children of the devil, they saw Jesus too. It didn't really mean anything that they saw him. The question is, were you dead long enough to know what happens after that? That would be my question, Paul. Very good question. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Corey says, because I think in Numbers 15 it talks about how a foreigner comes to the tribes and they sacrifice the same way the Israelites did. They are to be treated as regular tribe member and not to be oppressed. Yeah, and there are a number of places, especially in the book of Numbers, that makes it very clear um, that the Torah is for the Jew and the Gentile. It's for everyone. It's for the strangers and for the native born, so to speak. Yeah, it's for everyone. Tammy says love James Block. All right. Paul asked the question, how do you know that the near-death experience is not some hallucination or some DMT in the brain? Actually, I personally want to study NDE myself. Where can I start? Okay, so a couple questions there. How do you know? Sometimes you don't know. I say sometimes because not all the time. Because sometimes you do have evidence that it's real. Actually, many times you do. Like, for example, when someone flatlines and after they're resuscitated, they come back to tell you things that nobody would know. Excuse me, nobody would know unless they were actually out of their body. For example, there was this one woman who passed away in the hospital, and she said that she came out of her body, and she saw on the roof of the hospital there was this one shoe that was in a particular uh, uh, an unusual place on the roof of the hospital. And when she was resuscitated, she let the hospital staff know about it. She's like, okay, there's this shoe up there. They're like, how do you know? She's like, yeah, it's right, and it's like, and at first the hospital staff were like, oh, she's just hallucinating, right? It's just hallucination. And then one of them thought, I'll go up there and check anyway. It was a place where nobody could get access to. Like, it's nobody would ever know about it. It was an off limits, place that only authorized staff could get to. And so this one staff member actually went up to the place where this woman said, and sure enough, there was the exact shoe that this woman described in detail. Other people, when they have near death experiences, they say they go home, and when they're resuscitated, they come back to life, so to speak, and they can recall what they saw at home. That there's absolutely no way that they could ever know unless they were really there. Like, yeah, Uncle Jack is sitting on the chair and he's reading this and this, or reading this news. I saw him reading this particular article in the newspaper, or like things that there's no other way. There's no way that you could tell that it was. There's no way that it was hallucination. It had to have been real. Another woman, she said that she died in the hospital. She flatlined, and they tried to bring her. They were trying to do CPR on her and to bring her back. In the meantime, she said that she came out of her body and she walked down the hallway. And she said she went to a different part of the hospital where the waiting room was, and she saw family members there. And one of the family members, talk about slandering. One of the family members didn't say very nice things about her. And so when she was resuscitated and she came back, and finally they brought these family members in, when this particular family member came in, I believe it was a brother-in-law, she's like, yeah, I know what you said. What? He was completely shocked. Like, how in the there's no way. Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was there. Like, so things like that where it is really good evidence that it's not hallucination, because hallucination by definition is not real. You don't hallucinate something that's real. So that's what I would say. Um, yeah, I mean, being fair and you know um, being fair, some of them you can't tell, but some of them you can. There's this other person. I actually got a book that was written by his father. It was a little boy who died, and and he claimed that he went to heaven, and he met family members that he never knew, that they passed away before he was born, and they never showed them pictures. Like, later on, after this little boy's telling stories about being in heaven, later on they're showing pictures to him. What, do you know this person? Oh yeah, that's Uncle Bob over there. Oh yeah, and then, how did you know? And yeah, I have a sister in heaven too. What? Yeah, the baby you lost, miscarriage you had, mommy? Yeah, my sister's in heaven. How did you know? There's no way. No way. Nobody's ever said anything and they didn't even know. Lots of stuff like that happening. So yeah, in regards to where you can start. Okay, so there's I don't know if you have the ability to take notes right now or not, but I'll give you some names of some video. Now, these are older video documentaries, and that is one is called the Lazarus Phenomena. The Lazarus Phenomena. Another one is called To Hell and Back by Dr. Maurice Rawlings. Another one, believe it or not, it's a fairly good one, believe it or not, is from John, not Joel, but John Osteen, called Death and Beyond. And it's, I wouldn't say that's the best one, but it's some good stuff in there too. Um, on top of that, there is a book you can get, and it is downloadable, I believe it is on the internet, called the Last Words or the Last Sayings of the Dying. And it's a compilation of, I don't know how many hundred, very interesting. Other books, there's many books you can get on it. The book, I forget what you call it. Dr. Raymond Moody wrote a book. I forget the actual title is. Um, Pretty good. Heaven is real. Heaven is for real. I think that's what it's called. Another one, fairly good. Um, Plus, you can just go on, your favorite social media video platform and just do a search. I died and went to heaven, or I died and went to hell, and you'll come up with lots of things. At least I haven't done that recently, as in like the last year, but if they're still up, if they haven't been taken down, there was a lot of them, a lot of good ones too. Um, and just to talk, there's people out there, you'd be surprised. People that I know personally that say that they've had experiences like that. They don't really talk about them unless you ask about them. Um, by the way, Dr. Maurice Rawlings, he made a very good point in his documentary. He said that he was an atheist. He was an atheist before one of his patients died and went to hell, he said, and came back to talk about it and shocked Dr. Maurice Rawlings so much he became a believer. And One thing that Dr. Rawlings said that I'll never forget, he said, he was a cardiologist, right? So he had a lot of he he saw people, under cardiac arrest right in front of his eyes, or heart attacks right in front of his eyes. So he said that there are many more people than you know of that actually die and go to a place that they call hell, and they never talk about it because they don't want to talk about it. He says it's like getting an F on your report card when you're a child and you come home from school. You don't want to talk about that. That's something you don't want to talk about. And a lot of people, according to Dr. Rawlings, a lot of people experience that and they don't talk about it. So, very good question, Paul. Thank you for asking. Hope that helps. We got another return of a malicious, unreasonable, mentally disturbed individual. You are a non-believer. Yeah, I'm a non-believer in the modern corrupt Christian narrative. Yeah, I am. The difference between me and you is I can tell you reasons why, and I have reasons. You don't. You don't have evidence. You don't have evidence. You said you deny the Father and the Son. You lie. That's what you do. You lie. And liars are not welcome here. Just respect doesn't just respect, does he? Yeah, trolls are not welcome here. We're here to discuss the scriptures. If you have questions, you got good, reasonable questions for you, I will answer those questions. If you're just here to name call and that kind of thing, it's not you're not welcome. You're not welcome. If you're here just to name call and slander, you're not welcome. Corey says, what sickens me is these Paulians try to use Bible verses without context to attack you and make you look like a cultist. Yeah. I've said this, okay? One thing, this is the thing. Whenever someone says something against a certain a person's denomination, their doctrine or whatever, they always come out with these kind of things. Oh, it's a cultist, you're a false teacher, false prophet, all this slander just starts coming out. And just goes to show that they're not reasonable at all. Yeah, they're not reasonable at all. Um, and like, you know what, like just to go on the record too as well. Excuse me. I always say this because people just name call all the time, but I have never ever claimed exclusive truth. I've never ever said, "Hey, I'm the only one that has truth. Just listen to me." Never said that. That's why I have a range of spectrum of people on here. Anybody who's half decent, half decently reasonable, anybody who wants to ask has, half decent questions and who's here, wanting to talk, honestly and ask honest questions. I welcome it. That's why I even had, more recently I had, the Wadester on, right? So the Wadester, I know how some people really hated that I had the Wadester on, but he proved himself to be someone who can come on and talk respectfully, and I respect that. So, he doesn't agree with me on many things. I don't agree with him on many things. But you know what? I respect the guy. And I'll have him on again. I have him on again because of that. I mean, he seems to be a decent guy compared to a lot of these other people. Anybody, it doesn't matter to me if someone says things that are completely in error, as long as they're respectful towards you guys in the live chat, respectful towards me, and they're not just here to cause trouble, then hey, you're welcome. But if you're just here to cause trouble, cause whatever, then yeah, definitely, um, definitely not welcome. One thing about cultists, the cultists are always people who claim exclusive truth. And again, I do not. This is why I say, hey, test everything I say, and if I say anything wrong, let me know. I'd like to know. Right? Hopefully, I don't. But all right, and I like to hear all kinds of opinions. Whereas cultists are not like that. Cultists are more like, don't listen to anybody else. Don't listen to any opposing points of view. I want to have people on here with opposing points of view sometimes. Yeah, Vinny says, "Wow, they're coming out of the woodworks today." Yeah, you know why? I think one of the reasons why is because of the leveling flat Earth series that I recognize. Yeah, the leveling flat Earth series. And again, say I'm not pointing out anybody in particular, and I'm not doing anything like that. I'm just trying to get people to use their noggins, trying to get people to think. Yeah, that's the thing. These people, they don't have evidence. The evidence that they think they have is nothing but it's nothing but just shallow, um, ignorant interpretation of scriptures that they have parroted from other people that have it's just the cliche Christianity thing. Jordan says cultish behavior has risen its ugly head a lot, especially among self-proclaimed watchmen. Yeah, a lot of self-proclaimed watchmen, right? The false prophet police. Tyler asked the question, why didn't Jesus ever talk about homosexuality? Because I don't believe there were any homosexuals at that point. There couldn't have been. They wouldn't last very long in that culture. They wouldn't last very long. There was none. It's like the same reason why we don't talk about people that don't exist. I mean, in our culture, people that are not in our culture, we don't talk about. So that's the reason why Jesus didn't talk about it. It's the culture that they were in. Okay, so that'll wrap it up for tonight. And tomorrow we will continue with the reading of the Greek portion of Daniel. And specifically, we're going to be reading the history of Susanna and Bel and the dragon, and also getting into Ezra, getting into the book of Ezra. All right. So once again, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. You guys are awesome as always. I appreciate every one of you. And as always, I pray that what we shared tonight was a great blessing to you, that God would grant you a lot of wisdom and understanding and revelation. And as I always say, call upon him and he will show you great and mighty things. I pray that the things that we were talking about tonight will just help to further your relationship with the Lord. Amen. Amen. Corey says Baal and the dragon. Yes. Baal or Baal and the dragon. Yes. We'll be reading it. We'll be reading that. It's an awesome story. We'll read that tomorrow night, Lord willing. Jordan says, blessings and shalom all. Thank you, Jordan. Blessings and shalom multiplied back to you. Tammy says, have a wonderful night all. Thank you very much, Tammy. You as well. Blessings to you and yours. Going Nowhere says, these streams are awesome. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you very much. Going Nowhere, I appreciate the kind comments, considering we don't get some sometimes, as you see. Billy says, shalom and good night all. Shalom, Billy. Good night. Blessings. And Corey says, God bless you, brother Christopher. I'll try to be here tomorrow. Awesome. Looking forward to it. Hope you can make it, Corey. Thank you. All right. And Vinny says, thank you, Christopher. Many blessings to everyone. Shalom. You are awesome and always. Thank you very much, Vinny. You are more awesome. All right. You're more awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You are awesomer. You're awesomer. And Psalm 94 says, good night and blessings to all. Thank you very much. Blessings multiplied back to you. As always, I pray for each one of you that the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face to shine upon you, lift up his countenance upon you, and give you wonderful, wonderful shalom. Amen, amen. See you tomorrow night.